If you've been on the financial side of YouTube at all in the last year, you've probably seen a ton of videos that look just like this. Seems like every single one of these successful financial YouTubers are all talking about why it's so important for you to look poor if you want to be rich. And the truth is, they're all wrong, or at least they're almost entirely missing the main point. Because the reality is, it's actually very important to look rich if you're poor. And only once you're already rich is it necessary to try to look poor. If you don't know who I am, my name is Joe Brown. I am a former stockbroker who spent years advising the top 1% on how to manage their wealth. And after I made enough money to leave that world behind, I turned my attention to teaching regular people financial strategies that exist outside the mainstream, things you're never going to hear from an advisor or a broker. Now, is it true that it is a bad financial decision to spend more money than you have on flashy things like cars or jewelry just to impress people that you don't actually care about? Of course that's true, but signaling productive capability is vitally important in order to get access to opportunity. And access to opportunity is going to be far more powerful in your ability to create wealth long-term than budgeting your way to zero, because you can only save the amount of money you make. That's why you can't coupon clip your way to wealth. But there is no limit on your income, and that's where you should be focused, because the amount of wealth you create for yourself every single year is the delta between your income and your expenses. It's the difference between what you make and what you spend. If you only make $50,000 a year, the most you could possibly save in a year after your living expenses is probably $10,000. But if you make $200,000 a year, it's very easy to save $40,000 or $50,000 a year. And that's why it's important to look rich if you aren't already. Let me give you an example. Let's say you pull up for a job interview. The person who is interviewing you knows, because of your resume, that you currently don't make as much money as this job would offer. So you are trying to convince him that you have the productive capability. You will take that increase in income and you will be worth it for their company. You will make them more money than they are giving up, than they are risking by hiring you. If you pull up in a clean car that is well taken care of, that's not smoking, you have clothes that fit you, you are well dressed, you look decently fit, you keep yourself together, you have clean shoes, your clothes match, and who knows, maybe you even have a kind of nice watch on. Now, everything that I've just described, I'm not talking about driving a Lambo, I'm not talking about buying a $20,000 Rolex, I'm talking about displaying the capability to be productive even with limited resources. Your new employer or potential new employer looks at your resume, knows you don't make that much money, but sees the way you present yourself and understands you right off the bat, just from visual appearances, are the type of person who can take a limited amount of resources, be very frugal with them, divide them up correctly, and still be productive with that. That's going to be a signal to your future employer that he can trust you. He can take that risk with you, that you will be able to take the limited resources that they are offering you and make more with it at their company. Now let's play the opposite scenario. Let's say you pull up in a car that's absolutely falling apart. It's smoking as you pull into the parking lot. It's missing some hubcaps. You jump out of the car, some trash rolls out. You're wearing clothes that you clearly have not washed. They're wrinkled. They don't match. They don't even fit you. It looks like you probably stole them from Goodwill. You're wearing shoes that look like you got them out of a donation box. And it is true that everything here probably costs a lot less money. And you might be very good at saving your money, and you're just not spending it on any of these things that look flashy. But that potential employer has no signal from you that you have the capability to use limited resources and be productive with them. Everything you are signaling is that you take everything you get and waste it. You can't even take care of yourself with the income that you've had. Now, it might be true that you would still be a good hire for the business, but it's a lot more of a risk for the company because you are not giving them any signal to go off of. Now, obviously, these two scenarios are a little bit extreme, and they just apply in one area of getting a job. But you can see how these principles would apply everywhere in life. You go to a party, you're at a wedding, you're at some sort of a conference, and there's a meet and greet. All throughout our lives, we are running into people who are making judgments about what we can do and the character that we have based on the only information they have, which many times is only what they can see. And if you never give somebody a signal that says, hey, I have the ability to be productive, I have the ability to take limited resources and make it go far, make a lot out of it, then you are going to find it very, very difficult to get access to opportunities that will increase your income. And remember what we talked about earlier, increasing your income is by far the most powerful thing you can focus on if you want to build wealth long term. Again, you can only save your way to zero, but there's no cap on how much you can make. And so signaling productive capability with known limited resources signals extreme competence, and people will be far more likely to take a bet on you. So at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, well then why do people like Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Cuban, why do they wear jeans and t-shirts? They're literally doing the exact opposite. Well, it's because they're not relying on other people to give them the opportunities anymore. In fact, the higher up the wealth ladder you climb, the less important it is to signal your productive capability, because your results have already spoken for themselves and you don't need other people to give you opportunities. You have the capability now to create your own. This is one of the reasons why I have such a problem with all of these successful financial YouTubers telling you to look poor, because that advice applies to them, but it doesn't apply to somebody who's just getting started. Once you've already made it, you don't need other people to trust that you have that productive capability as much. And further than that, you also kind of want to err on the side of signaling poverty, because now you have something to protect. You don't want to be out there being flashy, showing off fancy watches and nice cars, giving people a reason to assume that they might be able to sue you. That's why you see more and more people today who have significant means are defaulting to stealth wealth, driving cars that don't signal a lot of money, even if they do actually cost a lot of money, wearing clothes that have no branding whatsoever, even if they are more expensive than some of the luxury brands. It's a way for somebody who is already rich to protect themselves. It's not a strategy to get rich. That'd be like if somebody was asking you the best strategy for climbing to the top of the mountain and they just said, well, when you get to the top, sit down and enjoy the view. It's like, that's not helpful for me to get to the top. Now, the second point that was being made by almost everybody who's telling you to look poor is to spend your money on meaningful experiences and not things. There's a problem with this. It's that things are just repeated experiences. For instance, I have the new iPhone and I have a really great experience every single time I pick this thing up and I hit the camera button to open up the camera instead of having to hit the camera button on the actual screen. Is that stupid? Yes, but it's an experience I get a couple of times a day for the entire time that I have this phone, versus if I spent that same amount of money on an Airbnb or a hotel or a plane ticket. That's a one-time experience that I may or may not remember depending on how good it is. I have a brand of clothing that I really enjoy wearing because it's so comfortable. I have a specific truck that I really enjoy driving. These are things, but every single time I use them, I get to experience them. And those repeated experiences from one-time purchases that extend throughout the entire life of that thing do meaningfully impact my life for the better. Now, is there a difference between buying things that you yourself thoroughly enjoy and buying things just to impress other people? Absolutely. Don't be an idiot. Nobody else cares about you. Don't buy stuff just to make somebody else think you're cool, because they don't. But most people, I don't think, actually do that, especially the people that watch videos on YouTube about how to make more money. Now, I have a large warning for you here. If you spend 5 years spending all of your time and all of your money on increasing your productive capability, increasing the skills that you have in order to make money, number one, you will drastically increase your income over that time. And number two, you will find it very difficult to not ride up the hedonic treadmill and increase your lifestyle along the way. It is possible to outspend any income. So if you're making multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in your household and you're living paycheck to paycheck, not having anything left over, that is your fault. There's a reason why professional athletes go bankrupt after leaving the league and why people who win the lottery are bankrupt within a few years after. It's because it's possible to outspend any income. So if you have a great income, and you're still not investing, you're still not building your wealth, your net worth is not drastically increasing each year, you need to take a look in the mirror and buckle it down. Which means that your order of operations should be number 1, make more money. Number 2, keep more of that money. And then number 3, learn what to do with that money. You shouldn't really be focusing on how to invest or even really how to budget a lot until you're making a significant amount of money. Until you're making at least 6 figures, you should be focusing all of your time and effort and money on increasing your skills that can make you more income, and then start focusing on what to do with it. And if you are already there, I run a private coaching group called Heresy Financial University, where I teach people how to grow their wealth and protect it during times of crisis. More info is in the link description below. As always, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.